We are back, good friends. I am your host, CausticPhoenix, here on the PinkPixels with the Gamers channel, and I am so glad to be here with you all today. Monday is... well, let's say I'm happy to get through all my emails today. This Monday during the day is chaotic, right? It's a chaotic mess, but when we're here Monday night, this is home. This is where we energize. This is when we really get ready for the week. Let's be honest, okay? Monday's whatever it is during the day, but now that the sun is setting, now that the workday has ended, we get to recalibrate. We get to chill and have our conversations. And every single time we come here on Monday evening, I always find such insight and inspiration from our guests that just gives me a new perspective to tackle the week. Some new way to handle the stress, the workload, the crushing form of capitalism that will tear apart my dreams, right? That we can get through it together. I see so many wonderful friends in chat. Hello, hello, hello. That's right. The Monday cannot be all bad, especially when we get to be here. And let me tell you, we've got an amazing guest. We always have such a great variety, but tonight we have the emo synth pop princess herself, Laika, joining us. So let's go ahead and get straight into this interview. Laika, could you please say hello to us?
Hi guys, it is Laika, and I'm really happy to be here on Twitch with you. I am a singer and a musician and a songwriter, and I'm also a sex worker, and I'm here to hang out today with Caustic, so it's nice to see you.
Perfect. What a smooth talk. I'm so excited to be having you here today. You have such a wide range of talents. At any given point, right, you could be working on a whole variety of different work and creative outlets. How do you decide, especially since we're here on the vibes of Monday, how do you organize your time? How do you begin by prioritizing in your life? I've got to know.
I don't prioritize my life at all.
That's 0%.
Like, I just recently got diagnosed with ADHD at the age of 32. Not that I want people to know on the internet that I'm 32, because I'm 21 forever.
Yes.
Forever.
That's the energy.
But yeah, it's that kind of like made sense to me of why I don't like prioritize my life at all. But when I have to, I try and do a little bit at a time. Like most of my time is taken up by like my OnlyFans, obviously, because it's my source of income. But when I do my music, it takes up a good chunk of time just because I'm really particular about everything.
So you really like to do the deep dives in, a little bit of focus here.
Yeah.
Now, focus, right. Always, everything is with our wonderful air quotes. But you've been doing music for a long time. I mean, growing up, you even shared that connection with your father. Remind me, Canada's Got Talent as well. What is it like to kind of experience it from small stages to such a national televised version to your journey? It's such a wonderful progression that you've gone through.
Thank you. Yeah, it started obviously young. My dad is a musician, so he kind of like, once we figured out that I could sing, he was like, okay, well, I'm going to play guitar and we're going to learn, you know, all these songs that he likes. And we did the Canada's Got Talent thing. So with that, I got through and we did like the interviews and we did all this stuff, and then they didn't put me in. So that was a bummer. But it's been a journey. I started songwriting not young. I started it, I think 6 years ago is when I like sat down and wrote my first song and then went to a studio and started recording. So I'm still in my eyes like new to it because I've only done like an EP and then an album, and I'm still new. Like I don't necessarily know what I'm doing, but I don't know, it's been really cool, and I'm happy. With COVID, everything kind of like messed up the music industry because we couldn't perform, you know, we couldn't get out there and meet people or do anything. But now I'm back to playing shows, and I'm really excited to see where that leads me.
See, I hear that, and it sounds so strange when you describe you've been doing this for so long, in 6 years, at least within the writing and recording and studio, that you describe yourself as feeling new still.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Is that a prerequisite though of like needing to know what you do, or is this just something of like we just want to have the confidence to feel like every time we go in it feels routine?
I mean, for me, like I forgot to mention, but the way I started like really putting my music out there was I would play guitar and I would sing on cam, like on Chatterbait or MFC, and I would do it naked. So that kind of like grabbed people's attention because it wasn't adult content necessarily. It was like me playing guitar and singing, and I would have like 5,000 or 10,000 people in my room watching me do that, and I was like, oh my god, why don't I do this? And it was like only cover songs, and
that's funny for being uncovered to play cover songs.
Yeah, right. People loved it, so and they were like, put out your own music. So I kind of like cracked down, and I was like, if I don't do that, I'm literally never going to be able to fulfill my dream. So but I still don't know what I'm doing. And on stage, I have severe stage fright, like so crippling, like just horrific stage fright.
Okay.
It's really
no. You got to talk us through this because I'm sure, right? Any of your fans, anyone who's gone and seen you perform, stage fright might be something that is one of the least expected things to come from you. Okay. First of all, how do you get over that stage fright? I feel like that's the secret that everyone's trying to figure out. Like every freshman in college who's taking their public speaking class right now is like, tell me your secrets, right? Obviously you found a solution. You're up there, you're performing and people are loving the performance. You're not letting it stop what you do. How did you handle that?
It's so the difference between like sitting on cam in my own room in front of 10,000 people is not frightening because I feel like I can kind of control the situation. When you are forced to go on stage and have like everyone's eyes staring at you in the crowd, and maybe they don't know your words, or maybe you don't recognize anybody in the crowd. And for me, I get so inside my head that I often forget the words to my own songs. And that is my fear. So it's not like necessarily me like going and performing. It's that thought in my head that I am going to forget the words and mess up the song. And then it's game over because it's awkward. And it happened recently. I played a show and I forgot the words and I just stood there.
But it wasn't game over. The show went on. You're still alive and doing great.
Yeah. But it is so embarrassing. And I think that's where the fear comes from, is like, I want it to be perfect, and no show is ever going to be perfect. There's always going to be something that goes wrong, or, you don't sound good, or you're pitchy or whatever, but no one notices that. So I don't know. I'm trying to get through the stage fright. I just played a show in Atlanta, and I don't know if it was the drinks, but I went up there and I just killed it. I don't know where this person came from, but my manager like came up to me after the show and he was like, everyone was looking around going, who is this person? Like, because I wasn't like quivering and shaking. I was just like, I don't care. I'm just yeah. So that was an interesting experience, but that kind of gave me the confidence to think, okay, if I can do it on that scale, what's the difference between 100 people and 50,000 people? You're doing the exact same thing, just on like a bigger scale every time.
Yes. Plus, there's still only so many people you can make eye contact with until they get lost in the sea. So, like that's really as many people as you can take in anyway at a given time. So,
yeah.
Now, for most people, I imagine like picturing your audience naked doesn't help. But is that different for you?
Everyone tells me to do that, and I'm like, I don't want to see people naked.
Yeah. Like, no, that's okay. That may not be. Yeah.
I don't want to see that. So it's like, what I did when I was live is I pretty much just looked over everyone, like right to the back. So, but when I did make eye contact with people, there was actually like a few kids in the audience because the guy that went after me, his name was Keiko, and he's from American Idol. So, which was really cool. And there was kids in the audience, and I was like looking at them, and they were like, oh my God, and I was like waving at them or like smiling at them, and it was really cute. Not that my music is appropriate for children, but I had no idea that there was going to be kids there.
Yeah.
But it kind of like made me happy. And I did a cover song by Cyndi Lauper called Time After Time.
Yes.
And I could see the people enjoying it and like singing the words, because they didn't know the words necessarily to all my songs, but seeing them like sing it and be happy, all the parents were so happy. So I was like, okay, you know what? I can do it.
I love that. That's such an emotional experience that you're providing, whether they know the words or not, right? You're creating an experience, and the music is almost a bit of a guide for them. When people listen to your music, what is that experience that you want? Because you have such wonderful music. I love listening to it. I love the description of the emo synth pop princess, first of all. It flows beautifully and is just the perfect combination of everything we love, especially as millennials. I hear that and go, yes, bring us back to that era. But you cover such beautiful topics of like how we love or self-doubt and understanding yourself. When you bring this to others, especially when you're at live shows and you see people experiencing it, what is it that you want to give them at the end of the day?
So my music is still considered pop. I always wanted to be the genre of pop, because I obviously want to take it to the next level with, like, I want to be famous. That's my goal. I want people to stop me on the street and not be like, oh, I saw you on cam. Like, I want them to be like, oh, well, I listened to your music. But I kind of describe my music as like a look into my personal diary set to like synth pop beats. And I want people to like listen to my words and feel like some sort of depth instead of just like bubblegum pop, Ariana Grande, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's so empty. And I wanted to like take in-depth topics and have people have some sort of connection, whether it be like about mental health or like any form of like addiction or relationship issues. Cause I have BPD, and I know like a ton of people have reached out to me and been like, I also have BPD and I can resonate with the words in your relationships. So I don't know. It's good. I just love it.
I love that too. It's this weaving of the channel of pop into music, into lyrics that resonate with us, that help us feel seen, especially the parts that sometimes we've been told by society to hide, right? That we don't talk about this, or that we pretend that everything's great, or we just focus on very different things. And it's a book that we don't open. And so you really do. This diary, as you describe it with it, is very powerful. But what is it like to share that so publicly, to put it out on Spotify, to have people singing your own words back to you?
So as an internet personality, a lot of people have like a facade that they use, you know what I mean? Like they have like this image, especially sex workers, as like, I'm perfect and nothing is wrong in my life, and I'm only going to show like those bits and pieces. But you know what I mean? Like even celebrities, they don't really let you in. But I've always decided that part of my like niche would be to just open up and lay myself out when it came to every topic about my life, which has bit me in the butt before. But it's like, I refuse to hide the person that I am online, because I know there's somebody out there who would connect with that. And I'd rather have those people in my life than a bunch of people that see me as some weird robot on the internet that provides a service for them.
Which is good, because that's what AI is for. It can be that weird robot, right?
Yeah.
Let's put the human experience out there, what we feel, who we are, the complicated, messy part that's so beautiful. It's difficult, but it's wonderful in that that's what we are. Now, you mentioned it bit you in the butt a little bit, right? Let's talk about that a little bit. This journey of exploring and becoming an internet personality, there's ups and downs to it that some are incredibly rewarding. Some, there's that challenge that everything now is out there. This exists publicly in that space that people can access or they share, or there's people who are not kind who also engage and people who are kind. What has been that journey like to understand yourself through such a digital lens?
For me, I feel like being open, especially about my mental health, has given people, there's a couple things. It's given people the opportunity to be like, you're insane. Like,
wow.
you're a crazy person, and like, or you're a drug addict, or like, it's all of these like personal things that they could use against me because they can. And I've also just been like extremely bullied about my body. Like just nonstop, start to finish of my entire career. It's, showing yourself online gives people the opportunity to just say whatever they want to you, and they don't care because they're just typing and then moving on to the next thing. Or I recently got a BBL, which I wanted, but a big part of that was because people were just bullying me about my weight to like no end. Like, I don't get it, but it's like, again, people just have access to you, and it opens the floodgate for a lot of people who don't quite understand you, or again, they just don't care, to just say whatever they want. And that, I'm very sensitive, and I take things really hard, even though like I pretend on the outside. Like, I'm a Sagittarius, so like I'm good on the outside to just kind of be like, I'll take it on the chin and it doesn't matter. But then it's like I go to bed at night and I'm like, I hate myself because people will not leave me alone. But it's a learning experience to be given the opportunity to do what I do. And there's always going to be people who have something to say, and it doesn't necessarily always outweigh the good things that people say,
That's a very real talk. That is not always fun to hear, to be honest.
Yeah, it sucks. But I mean, I'd rather just be honest about it and see like the reality of, some people can just block and move on, but other people take it like really, really, really personally.
Well, and it's hard not to, because some of those comments are very personal. Some are just drive-bys. Others will go through your full internet history just to dig in things and to purposely try to, it's an attack. It's a war, very much so, in which they put on you. And it seems so unfair because these are often the blank accounts, the ones with no names behind it. Yeah, they can say whatever they want and they can do whatever they want because they're not experiencing that same risk of vulnerability that you're taking on.
Yeah, they don't care. People, what I wanted to mention was about that. There was actually, someone had sent me a message, and they found a private Reddit server full of men who dedicated all their time and energy to reporting my accounts so they would get deleted.
Is this why you have had 15 Instagram accounts?
Maybe. But I've never heard of that in my life, ever.
What? Have they never heard of any other hobby in the world? Like, I don't understand. I'm sorry. I'm just kind of, let's get a club together so we can like, I don't know. Like, to me, that sounds like, what?
It's so sad.
It is.
Like, that's incel behavior. Like, for no reason. I'm not like,
pickleball is way more fun. Can they just pick up that instead? I don't understand. I don't understand. I just, to hate somebody that much in a group of them. Yes.
Like, not even just one person. Like, it's like they band together and like mutually to be like, we hate this person and we're going to do everything we can to destroy them. And it's so sad. Because I don't go on the internet hurting people. I mean, I can be rude and abrasive, and, I reply to hate comments sometimes, or I reply to messages that people send me, and I just tear them up. But it's like, I have the right to do that when somebody attacks me, but that doesn't warrant, finding every way possible to get all of my accounts deleted.
Yes.
I don't get it.
It's a weird obsession is what it is.
That's level.
It's not healthy. The internet is full of so many things, and they choose to specifically go to you and try to target you. It's not healthy in any way, but it's also very sad. It is. It's very sad. It's horrifying, and unfortunately, you have to be the subject of their vitriol at the end of the day. But here you are, right? Like at some point, some of us would be like, listen, after my 13th account, I'd be like, nope, I'm you win. I hate you, but you win. But here you are. You're putting in your 15th account. Maybe when we have you on in a year or so, we're going to be at 20. I don't know, right? But
hopefully not.
I hope not. I hope not. But I love the resilience that you're demonstrating for us, that you're still putting yourself out there. You're enjoying the work that you create, the art that you have made, the art that you are, and this and that I hope, right? We see on the outside on social media that you've been putting yourselves forward, that it seems like a strong front, but that is hard at the end of the day. When you mentioned, like, when you put your head down on that pillow, those thoughts, they resonate. It hurts.
I feel like too is that, like, it directly affects my income, because when you lose your audience and they lose you because they're gone, I don't like it. You can see the trends of, like, you know, when you have less followers because you have to keep rebuilding, you know, if people can't find you and you have a new username every other month, like, it affects your income. And especially in my business, and it sucks to just continuously have to rebuild. Like I told you earlier, I'd be at 1 million followers on Instagram if I had had all these accounts deleted. So I just, like you said, I just have to keep rebuilding every single time. And what I wanted to mention with that is social media this day and age hates women. It hates women. Like, every single platform that I've ever existed on refuses to let women exist, especially in my industry. It's like, but they pick and choose, because some people can post whatever they want and never get deleted. And it's like, but for the majority of women in my industry, we post a picture in a bikini, not overtly adult at all, and we're deleted or shadow banned. Like Twitter at this point, I have 500,000 followers, and every single time we post like an OnlyFans link or something that they deem as adult content, they search, suggest, ban you, which means it's like, it's a type of shadow ban, but it means if you go to the search bar and type in my name, nothing comes up. Nothing. My account is...
You can't even be found then. It's like you don't exist without telling you that you don't exist anymore.
And they also, like, drop your engagement. So, like, even though I have 500,000 followers, why is 50,000 of them seeing my content instead of way more than that? Like, it just... And Twitter's supposed to be a platform that is for everyone and allowed, you know, to say whatever you want. You can say whatever you want politically. You can say all the slurs that you want. You can hate anyone, but it's like the minute someone who's a sex worker wants to exist on this platform, it's done. And I don't get it. Again, I don't get any of it. But none of it makes sense.
You're right, especially with a lot of these, when people register as something as being offensive, it does go through a review process. It ends up being individuals who have to weigh, is this something that's allowed or not allowed? And that is where we start to see those biases come in that take place, that create inconsistent rulings on these platforms that continue to focus on particular individuals. And it's frustrating because you're right, like, this is your business at the end of the day. If you have 500,000 people who say and have liked and have followed you and say, I want this content, and Twitter's telling them, no, you really don't, it feels like it's not the user asked for content, the user service platform that it articulates it is.
Right. And it's difficult. And I find like with Twitter, or sorry, X, should I call it X now?
They haven't earned that right.
No, absolutely not. I'm never calling it X ever in my life, but it's like they're so hell-bent on like pushing political content at this point, and like it's throwing everything else in the garbage, even if it's like music content or stuff that has nothing to do with my job. It's still being suppressed, and it's difficult. And it's not just me, it's happening to every single person in my life that I know who does my job is dealing with the same thing. But there's always those people though that somehow get a pass and are allowed to exist, especially on Instagram. That one is the worst for that. I've seen some stuff on Instagram that nobody's eyes should be seeing on there. And it's like, again, like
from a sex worker, right? Like, and you're exposed, you understand the levels that are here. Yes.
Yeah. And I even go as far as like, I saw like an account that had like full blown adult content on it. And oh my gosh, sorry if you hear the ding. I thought I put my thing on do not disturb, but it's not working. Anyway, I saw like full blown adult content, and I reported it, and it said, we've reviewed this and there's no violation. And it was like full blown, not just like a girl in a bikini or like a girl shaking her butt. It was like full blown. And I'm like, who is reviewing this?
Yeah.
Who?
Well, they don't give that transparency.
It's AI. That's what they say now. Like it's every time I get flagged, it says our system has reviewed your content to be inappropriate. So either remove it or we delete your account.
But what choice do you have? You have no recourse. The appeal process, if you get one, it's for certain platforms, not all platforms provide an appeal process for it, can be difficult. You don't often still get to talk to an actual person. It is what it is. And at the risk of, again, it's your business. Do you just go, well, I'll just take it down and we'll just go a different direction. We'll have to post something else. That's frustrating. Now, this is obviously something that's adding a ton of work stress on there and social stress, as you have to keep making new accounts. You've got to deal with these strange algorithms that are picking and choosing and not providing clarity. You're still in this game though. You could choose easier pathways, granted, maybe less fulfilling pathways, less that allow you to be who you want to be in this space. So what makes you continue to push forward with this, knowing what you have to go through? This isn't a surprise to you, but it doesn't make it easier. And here you are still going, I'm still going to do this. I'm still going to put myself out there. I love it. How do you find that strength?
Money.
Okay. I love the bluntness. Let's have some honest conversations. Yeah.
Money. I want money.
Thank you. Yeah.
That's who does this for fun?
Right.
Like, unless you're an exhibitionist, like nobody's doing this job not for money. Like, it's essentially the way I look at it is if I hadn't done this for the last 8 years, my music career wouldn't exist, because I've put more money than I care to admit into my music. And also I wouldn't have any audience whatsoever if I didn't have this job and this opportunity to take advantage of it. And, you know, money makes the world go round. And I said, I will do this till I'm 40 years old. If that means it's paying the bills. Yeah. I don't care.
That's fair.
It is what it is. I would love to do music full time. And I feel like I will have the opportunity, if things keep going well, to do that. But even then, it's like, do I quit? Because the more popular you get with music and the more eyes are on you, they're curious and they're obviously going to want to subscribe. That's, again, more money. So it just comes with the fact that not everyone in the world is going to either take you serious or even give you specific opportunities because of what you do for work. And I recently, I was supposed to play a show here in Pittsburgh, and it had been booked for months.
Right. You got like marketing
And
up and
I
ready to
think
go.
oh yeah, it had been booked for months, and I spent a lot of time getting ready for it and buying equipment because it was my first show that I was going to do by myself without a band. So I had to like learn all this technology and learn how to completely do everything from my computer, which I'm dumb and I don't know how to do that. So it took me like hours and hours of sitting down with someone and having them go through and teach me how to do this. But anyways, I did all that. And then they texted me like 5 days before the show, and they were like, for political reasons, we've decided not to move forward with your showcase. And I was like, oh, sorry, political differences. That's what it was.
Oh.
And I was like, what does that mean? Because I have a feeling I know what that means.
Yeah.
And that means they looked me up and decided maybe I don't want someone representing adult content on the stage. But like, why did you book me in the first place? The first thing you should have done is Google me and figure it out.
Yeah. It's not like it was hidden. You're not keeping this like secret account under different names. Like it's
like what? I was
on them.
Flabbergasted.
Yeah.
Like and they were supposed to pay me a lot of money for that too. Like it was probably like my highest paying show that I've ever had. And I ended up fighting for it, and they paid me half for canceling on me. It was a cancellation fee. That's what they called it on the check. And I was like, good, because how dare you like take away that opportunity from me? And I could understand if I was going up on stage and like being like Megan Thee Stallion or something, like going crazy and like shaking my butt and like jumping around and being inappropriate, but I wasn't going to do that. And also my songs are not inherently sexual at all. Like
you can adjust for the audience as need be.
Yeah.
Or you would have been like, hey, this is like Megan Thee Stallion. Like when people go to her concerts, you know what you're going to expect. Like parents get to make the decision what age they want their children to attend. There's understanding behind that because that's seen there. Same with you. Like there are videos of your performances. It's clear to see what to expect, and it's different.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised they didn't hop into a conversation with you first. They just said to back out.
And it wasn't even, so apparently it was a congresswoman that made the decision, a woman on top of that.
Oh,
crazy. And I was like being like funneled through like a person to like talking to them, and they were the ones. So it's not like she approached me and said, hey, I'm sorry, I don't want to do this concert with you. But it was like through a third party that like had to like break the news to me. And they replaced me with a children's glass band or something like that. Like, I don't even know what the hell that means.
Oh, they went Real Sound of Music then, huh? Okay.
What? Like, who wants to see that?
That pendulum swung way the other direction.
I was like, okay, well, you're lost. I just keep thinking, like, when I blow up, she'll be eating rocks for missing that opportunity.
Yes.
So.
Well, and again, like, it's one of those, one, they should have done their due diligence beforehand.
Yes.
Like if they were concerned, it's a simple Google search. It's not very difficult to find. And second of all, then have a conversation. Here are concerns. We want to make sure that we're meeting these kind of standards. That way you can have a decision and go, you know what? That's also not the audience I want. What can we find out? The cancellation fee should have happened no matter what. That was, they to cut you out of that kind of funding. But that's hard, right? Like, and that's part of the challenges, and I'm sure experiences that you have of knowing being a sex worker, of how that can limit opportunities as well.
I had a really big opportunity to, do you know the convention MomoCon?
Yes.
Yeah. So I was supposed, well, it was in talks that I would open for this guy named Slushy, who is a pretty well-known like EDM artist. And my manager was trying to get me in to like open for him because there'd be a ton of people there.
Yeah, great audience match, music genre wise. Yeah,
it would have been great. And I guess they just decided, they were like, we don't like her image. It's not family friendly and we don't want her to perform. But what blew my mind was it was I'm pretty sure a 19 plus like after party.
So no kids would have been there.
There's no kids there.
They all would have been in bed. They're not even on social media that late.
No, I was like, wait, what is happening? But it's like, I talked to my manager about it and I was really bummed because I feel like that would have been so much fun. But he was like, girl, this is going to happen.
Yeah.
This is going to happen. And I was lucky enough that he took me on as an artist, knowing full well what my job would be and what the complications would be with my career choice. But it's like Cardi B did it, you know, even though she wasn't the same, it wasn't the same. It was still, you know, some form of sex work.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's more girls out there that we don't know who participated in whatever. And that's how you kind of made your money.
Yeah.
Like, get that bag. I don't understand what the problem is. Like,
wasn't there the good girl group of 5 girls who were all strippers first? I'm trying to remember. I'm failing my pop culture quiz. But yes.
Were they American?
Yes. I'm trying to remember. I
have no idea.
I'll Google it in the halftime, but
okay.
Right. But you're right. Especially now when we're talking these days, when you're starting a career as an artist and any kind of form of artistry, it's hard to be sustainable. So you have to look at multiple forms of revenue. Pussycat dolls. Yep. Thank you, SB. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Thank you.
Oh, hi, SB. Oh, he's in here. That's one of my best friends.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Thank you. Okay, good. Yeah. They're reading my mind here. I love it. I love it. But like there's a practicality of what do we do to continue to survive? What choices do we make, especially for not just sustainability, but being able to thrive in this space?
Yes.
Like, it's not like, oh yeah, but you go work at McDonald's. Well, doing a minimum wage job doesn't give you the time and energy to, one, pay rent these days, much less be able to fund and support all of the endeavors to launch, to kickstart a career in music, in gaming, and whatever you have. Being able to build that revenue base takes a lot of extra funds.
It is insane what it costs to do anything in this industry. Yeah. My mind was absolutely blown to the cost of, like, my music videos were like $10,000, which that seems like a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But like, let's look at I love K-pop. So I'm going to use like a K-pop band, for example. Like, my favorite band is Stray Kids.
Yeah.
Their music videos are probably $1 million.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they have a label, and I'm completely independent. So, like, even to get on the radio, I don't get it. Like,
but I think people forget that, like, to get on the radio, to rent a studio space, to have someone, there's funding and costs at every single standpoint, every single price point. The music tools that you use, even if you're doing a lot and creating it digitally, you got to pay for those tools. Those often have monthly or annual subscriptions, right? They're not just free out there. Buying the microphone, it's everything that you have to create. There's a price point to it. To pretend like Taylor Swift got lucky because she was just a great singer is to ignore the training, the support, the traveling.
No, she's a Nepo baby.
Yes.
Like, straight up.
Yeah.
And I would say, I'm going to say 80% of singers that you see, pop singers or any big artist this day and age, is a Nepo baby. Or their parents just had so much money to funnel into their careers that it was just handed on a silver plate. Now, there is people who, you know, came from nothing and worked their way up. That's not unheard of. But with everything being more expensive than it ever has been, and so over the top with music, it's the money's got to come from somewhere.
Yeah.
And I've been fortunate enough to be blessed with this career, whether it you know, cut my opportunities in half, I'm still going to have somebody who looks past that and says, okay, I see the vision and I'm going to give her the chance, because there's more to me than what I've done on the internet. Mm-hmm. I'm a complex person with talent and a heart and passion. You know, it comes from somewhere. So I think that eventually people will kind of get over it. And then, or it can be, you know, I keep thinking, I don't really know any like online sex workers from OnlyFans or camming that has like been a pop singer. Mm-hmm. So why can't I be the first?
Yeah.
Like, and kind of like break that seal and, you know, just do it.
I mean, obviously, authentically, it's a great story, but I even think from a marketing standpoint, it's a unique story, right? Yeah. There are multiple ways to approach it. Some genuine, some with greed eyes, but it's still a process. But I want to pick at something there, because you said it comes from something where you have this passion, you have this dedication to it. What is that something? What is that root for you? Because obviously people try to burn it away. People might ignore it or they might discard it, but you're growing that, you're fostering that. Where does it find its deep roots that have been so protected that you can keep growing?
My entire life, I've like known that I wanted to be a singer. Mm-hmm. And I've dreamt about it, thought about it, you know, had everything that has to do with music. I felt in my soul that I wanted that and nothing else. And I feel like it's been, the drive comes from the reward, I feel like. So when I do connect with people and I see that they're, I don't know, connecting again with my music and understanding it and seeing it for more than just like lame pop music, that like fills me up, fills my cup. Like it has always been a burning flame. And I told myself my whole life, like, you're going to be famous. Like, I just delusionally told myself.
Not delusionally, because it's going to happen, right? It's not delusion.
May not.
But it's a mantra for you.
Yeah, like I feel I saw something online where I can't remember who said it, but they were like, the way to get what you want is by being delusional. Because the more delusional you are, the more you start to believe it will happen. Mm-hmm. And I believe in manifestation. You know, I believe that you can have anything you want. Obviously, you have to work for it, but like, I just knew. And when I started gaining traction on the internet, I was like, okay, now I'm more delusional, because now more people are seeing me and they're giving me that validation. And, you know, it's like, I'm not like power hungry, but it feels good.
Yes, it grows, it nurtures you. Like, it's that affirmation that you need. Like when you had people like, they would hear your covers and they go, we want to hear more from you. We want your work, right? That's the affirmation. That feeds that delusion, that confirms this delusion should be running. It has legs. It should be running at this point. We're switching metaphors. We're going from roots to now. It's fine. Yeah. We're allowed to do this.
Yeah.
Right, but it's coming to life. And I mean, I was listening to your music. It's so there's a, maybe because there's the pop, there's this wonderful rhythm that is it catches you off guard and makes you very vulnerable. Like you just lean into the rhythm, but then the lyrics are like, oh, this hits. Like I was driving home. I was like, oh, what was the one about still having self-doubt? I was like, oh,
yeah, doubt.
That one was just hearing that chorus again and again. It becomes this wonderful conversation that I feel like I'm having with you. You didn't know that. I was talking to you earlier today through the song. But it's something that you've now shared with people. And obviously there's so many plays on your music. And I was just listening on Spotify, and you have your stuff on so many different platforms. There are so many people who hear this and go, this isn't a delusion. This is real. This is valid. This is something that needs to keep going further. It's wonderful. And so I hope that you keep going for it. For you, is it also cathartic when you actually start putting your own lyrics out there and sharing it publicly? Like the difference of where you have it versus now where you put it out for the world?
Yes. I spent a lot of time crying while writing and producing my music and recording it. And I've never felt such like an emotional release as when you write something and then you hear it for the first time with your own voice, like listening to your own song. Because I never thought that would happen. Yeah. I never, ever thought I would write a song or that I would hear my own voice on a record and be like, okay, I did that. But then to hear people's thoughts on it, and I have had no negative comments, which is weird because I comment on everything else. But and I mean, some people are like, oh, she's auto-tuned, or like just the usual, they don't know music.
Yeah.
They don't understand what auto-tune is. But besides that, I've had such wonderful feedback from people that it's touched their lives, and that is worth it to me, whether it's on a small scale or it's on a huge scale. And I hope one day I can stand on a stage with 25,000 people and bawl my eyes out because, they're singing to me and, like I can connect with more people.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's flip this scenario for a hot second. It won't be long. You're in front of stages of 50,000 people selling out, all that fun stuff. Do you ever think you'll look back and you'll miss the small audiences?
No.
You're like, that's okay.
No, because that's not what I want. Like,
I love that.
I don't want that. I don't want to play for people that a small crowd. I want to play for people, but I don't want. I think it can be bigger than what I imagine. So I think, no, I won't look back on that. Maybe I'll look back on playing on cam and be like, oh, that's where I came from. It's great. Yeah. But I think that I'll be much more fulfilled emotionally if I can share it with lots and lots of people.
I imagine, as somebody who shies away from large concerts because I'm easy to step on.
Same.
It's easier if you're on stage, less people to step on you at that point. That's the spot to be in if you're a small person. I imagine, though, when you have performances at those sizes, right, when you get to larger stages, there's got to be something magical about that, right? When you have people singing back to you, when you have this many people, like every single person that you add into it amplifies the emotion. They amplify the energy and magic that's created in that room. Is that why you're going for, like, I want this large audience. I want them to hear, I want them to see this work that I've created?
I think it maybe comes from like having borderline personality disorder and like the dying need for validation and adoration.
Yeah.
And, I think like maybe deep down, I think that would be the most fulfilling thing for me in the world to see that come to life. But I mean, there's more to that. Like, I think when I see my favorite bands, like the K-pop bands that I love, and I feel like it's a religious experience. Like, even though you're in a crowd of 50,000 people, I see them in the way that they are on stage and how happy, and even though they're little machines, it's like, you see the passion that they have, and I'm like, I want that so bad. Like, I feel like it would make my life.
Yeah.
Essentially. Yeah.
I love that. No, I think that's great. My dog is my alarm. I think you can hear her in the background. She's telling us it's been an hour. She's like, you need to give your guest a break. I know. Thank you, Bunny. So we're going to go ahead and take our 10-minute break there. Let's take a little bit of a breather. Let's go refill our water. Good friends, we'll be back in a hot minute. We'll see you all soon. And we are back, good friends. We're here on Pink Pixels. I've got my friend Leica joining us, and we are having a great conversation about being in music, a sex worker, mental health, really just the full layers of who we are as individuals as we work to be our creative selves, as we work to be our true selves, as we work to create connections with who we are and with others in the spaces as we achieve our dreams. And I have been enjoying so much of what you've created. I wanted to see if this will work for us. Your music, I mentioned earlier, I've been vibing to it. It's been kind of just all on my mind. Anytime I've been in the car, there it is. Oh, it's so beautiful. I love it. This one in particular has just been like, I love it. It's all this energy to me. Your lyrics are amazing.
Thank you.
There it is. It's playing beautifully. I love that little phrase, trying to love myself, but I have my doubts. And it made me think, like, when you wrote that song or any of your songs, where do you begin with it? Does it start with a tune? Does it start with a note progression? Does it start with a lyric or a feeling or a challenge? Or what's your inspiration?
So for that song specifically, I have an interesting story. First of all, I don't like that song.
Oh.
not
the lyrics. I was told it was okay in the email. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. No, you're good. Personally, so that song, I wrote it about being a I'm sorry.
Go for it. Keep going.
I wrote it about being compared to Halsey. Yeah, my entire career, when she started and when I started, we both had blue hair that was cut into a bob, and a lot of people say I look like her. A lot of people say I don't, but the majority of people say that I do. I don't see it anymore because we look like two different people now, but at the beginning, I would have people come into my chat room and be like, "Oh my God, you look like Halsey. Oh my God, you look like Halsey." And I'm like, who Halsey? I don't know what that is. So what I will say with that is, one more thing. I had someone stop me on the street, not once, but twice, thinking I was Halsey. Bizarre.
Did you just offer to take a picture anyway? Like, yeah, sure.
No. I was like, no, I'm not her. But, and another fun fact is both of our real names are Ashley. Super weird.
Just very strange coincidence.
Very strange.
But why do you hate this song then? Why is it?
Okay. So, like I said, I wrote it about being compared to her and whatever. If you listen closely, you can kind of hear it.
Yeah.
I don't like the beat of the song, and I don't like how pop focused it is. When we were writing it, we thought it would be funny to make a Drake like pop beat, so it's very like doom, 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 like very like Drake-esque. It is. So we kind of like ripped that off, and then we were like, okay, let's write a pop song because most of my stuff is not as poppy, and the feedback on that is everybody in the world loves that song, and I'm like. And it's not vocally challenging at all. It's like so easy to sing and it's kind of boring. Like I've performed it live a few times and I'm like,
I mean, I'll say this as a non-singer, I was like, I can actually sing along to this one.
Yeah, easy peasy. And like, I don't know. But yeah, that's the story with that. But it's not a bad song, and it's great that people like it. But for me, I'm like, there's so many better songs on that album.
Well, and I feel like I've heard that from other artists too, of like, it's not always their favorite song that becomes the love song by the public, right? It's weird what picks up, and it's not always the most complicated or most musically challenging song, but it's like, it's something that was a rhythm that matched what people wanted at that time. That's so funny. And I'm so sorry. I will be listening. I will still love it.
Yeah,
but I will see it now with new eyes, and I will laugh every time I sing along now.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah. It's Cooking Mon Steve. Yeah. It's approachable for those of us who are skill challenged. Like I can't do the rest of your songs for karaoke, but maybe that one I could do.
Definitely. I think, oh, what did you ask me? Oh, how I do my writing process.
Yes.
That was what you asked me. I've got the memory today.
You bring it.
So essentially what I do is I write random things in my phone. So like I think of something and I'll write down like a sentence and then I'll go back to it and then I'll write more. And then if I'm feeling really spicy, like mentally, then I will write a lot. And then sometimes if I can, I'll get my guitar and I will try to like map out how I want it to sound. But most of the songs, me and my friend Logan, who I have done all 2 of my albums with, I will bring him the lyrics and I'll bring him the vibe and I'll bring him like a melody or whatever. And then he will build off that. And it'll, you know, we kind of like bounce off each other to try to like create the song. There's been some times where like I thought I could write a full song and I'm like, I just sometimes like hearing someone else's thought like makes the song so much better. Or, you know, he'll be like, why don't we add this word in instead of this one? Or because he's a very talented songwriter. He's been writing songs since we were 12 years old. And it's an interesting process, but I think for most artists, they work with someone else. It's very rare in the music industry that somebody writes, produces, you know, and makes it all come together. I don't know one person. I can't think of one artist off the top of my head that has sat down without somebody else and written a whole song. Maybe like Connor Oberst from Bright Eyes, if you know who that is. Yeah, like something like that.
Only because you mentioned Bright Eyes, I would not have. I'll be honest.
Yeah. That is, but he's like a fan or Dashboard Confessional, Chris Carava, who's a huge influence of mine. But they can just do it. And for me, I need some sort of vibe off someone else to be like, okay, we can put this together. And it just makes sense to me. I like doing that like that.
No, I think that's a good approach though, right? When you hear others also working through it, it allows you to refine it. It's like they're the ones helping to hold up the mirror as you're creating and you can see it more clearly that way when you have someone else helping to guide and mold, and it becomes a beautiful process because part of the aspect of art is that it has to be shared, right? That's what makes it art. Beyond that, then it's just for ourselves. But when we take it externally, it's how do I communicate these ideas, these feelings, this story that I have to someone else? And having that sounding board, having that friend is that confirmation of like, is this having the effect that I want? Does this make sense the way that I'm attending? And it's even better if you find the right kind of person to work with. So how did you find Logan? How did you go, yeah, this is a good match?
So me and Logan have known each other since we were 12 and like back in Toronto, because I'm Canadian. I forgot to mention that in case, well, you might have mentioned it, but I don't remember. So we're both Canadian and we grew up just outside of Toronto, and I don't remember how I met him at all, but he was always having his guitar and singing, and always he wrote his own songs. He was like so talented at such a young age. Like my parents were like, that kid's gonna be famous. And then he started to get more onto the production side. And when I moved downtown, so we lost connection for like many years because we were kids. And then, you know, we like been like, hi on Facebook, but nothing like serious. But when I moved downtown Toronto, he was like, I need to get you into the studio and you need to do something. You have to do something. You need to do it now. Yeah. So we went in and we recorded a cover of Me by the 1975. And it was my first time being in a studio and recording and hearing myself and learning how to like listen to myself back in the headphones and, you know, doing the same thing 10,000 times in a song to make it work. And then he was like, okay, now that we did that, we're writing a song. And I was like, hello?
Okay.
I was like, I don't know. I'm scared. But the first song we wrote together is called Earl Grey. And I wrote it about...
Love it. Also great.
That is one of my favorite songs. And it just happened to be the first one that we wrote. And I wrote it about this guy who is famous, who I'm not going to mention, who broke my heart and shattered me into a million pieces. And if you listen to the words in that song, it completely makes sense as to what I'm singing about, but nobody knows that it's about that. Mm-hmm. So I'm spilling the tea right now.
I get it.
Great tea. But it was about that. And it was like, I listened to it and I was like, oh my God, what the hell? Like, why haven't if I started this when I was 18, I'd be in a stadium right now. But it took me so long to do that because of my own personal fear. But Logan has pushed me so much musically, and I owe a huge chunk of my career to him. Mm-hmm. We're kind of like on rocky terms right now, which I'm like not going to get into, but it sucks. But like, friendship and business is rough sometimes, I'll say that. Mm-hmm. And but such great things came out of us working together. When we wrote Just Peachy, it was during COVID, and he came to my house. We set up a studio in my bedroom that looked like this, so like my workspace, and it was super tiny and really hot. And we sat down for 2 weeks straight and banged out the entire album.
Ooh.
Front to back.
Okay.
To back.
That's exhausting.
Like, well, some people take 2 years to write an album.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
So we were like, no, we need this done now, and we only have this set amount of time, so let's just do it. And we worked and worked and worked, and it was exhausting and mentally straining and brutal, but it gave me exactly what I was looking for, which was to put out an album. And the album called Just Peachy is like a play on like sarcasm. Like, it's like, oh, I'm just peachy. Like, it's not, because the whole album is emo as hell. There's there is one happy song on that record. One. Oh. One. That is it. And it's, the rest of it is just emo as heck. So yeah, the album, I called it Just Peachy as like a sarcastic joke. I don't know if people are going to get that, but
I think paired with like the pictures, the language, I feel like it comes through. Like, they may not know at the starting point, but as they get in, they're going to learn pretty quick at that point. They'll catch on. What is it like though, when you look at your album and go, at the end of it, when you complete it, what is that feeling of like, we just put all of this time, this effort. I've been running in circles around these same lyrics again and again. I've re-recorded this particular segment that it doesn't even sound right in my own head anymore, right? Like kind of when you look at a word and you've written it so many times and you're like, I'm pretty sure that's not how you spell the word people, but it is. Yes. How do you go at the end and go, that's done? How do you even know when you're done with an album? When you go, this is it. We have to stop tweaking it.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. High notifications right now. This is light bulb moments that we're having, I assume.
Hold on. Let me see. I can still hear you. Right?
Okay, good. Yeah.
Okay, I muted the thing.
Perfect.
Okay, so hopefully that works. But basically, the way that most musicians describe finishing an album, it's never finished in your head.
Yeah.
Like, I look back on every single song and go, oh, I could have done that there. Oh, I could have sang that like that. Oh, we could have added this in here. And it drives me insane. But when I look back on this album specifically and I listen to it front to back, it is such an emotional experience. Like, again, every time I listen to my own music, I cry. Just because I thought, again, it wasn't possible for me to do something like this. I thought it was completely out of reach and it was never going to happen. So I love it. I can honestly say I love my record, and even if people don't like it, I love it. And that is really all that matters at the end of the day.
Well, you're not getting any negative feedback here. I got to know then, out of this album, then, which one is your favorite?
I mean, knew you were going to ask
You're not supposed to have favorites, but you have to, right? Like, you do.
I knew you were gonna ask me that, and I should have like properly thought this out. There's a couple that have a tie.
I'll give you two. You can pick your top two.
Okay. My number one is Dreams. So that's like the first song on the album.
Yes.
It's kind of slow. It's kind of boring, but it's lyrically I loved writing it, and it was so fun to record. And the second one is called Not Enough. And that song, I purposely added like this auto-tune vocal that originally we recorded it and it wasn't like that. And then I was like, no, I want this to be auto-tuned and sound mystical or like computery. Like, I don't know. I wanted it like a computer fairy, like for it to sound like that. And another song that I really, really enjoyed writing. So those are my top two. I could never pick a top one, I don't think.
That's
I love all of them.
They're all precious and wonderful. And yes, they make all of our little sad emo hearts so happy. But there's a beauty to what you've created here. And I'm glad you've at least narrowed it down to your top two, because that also lets us know, right? As somebody who has never put out an album and will never put out an album to save mankind and their precious ears of what horrendous screech I could come up with, I take it in only as a listener. When I hear these, it feels like it's my chance to get to know the artists behind it. Right. And so knowing which ones that you love the most, it gives me a new layer to experiencing it, and knowing how much you also love singing this song, of performing this song, of bringing it to life. There's an added joy that comes from it, instead of like, well, this is a song that will make money, like, and that's not wrong. Make money. You got to, at the end of the day. But to know that there's an additional favoritism there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like an Easter egg to know.
I knew you were going to ask me that, and I should have thought about it. But again, it's whatever. Yeah.
That's fair. Thank you. I appreciate it, because that is hard, right, to go through. Now, of course, you look back at your album and you love it, and for good reason. There's so much to be proud out of it. It all flows well. Even the choice of ordering of it felt like such a fluid experience of how one went through another. It very much so felt like flipping through the pages of a diary. It was so comfortable in that, and this beautiful deep dive. Was there a particular line, though, or moment where you go, damn, I can't wait for people to check that out, because what I did there that's something new. Like, was there a particular moment? Okay, yes.
So
be proud of yourself.
This is a story. I'm going to try to make it quick.
Okay.
I had a psychotic ex-best friend, and I wrote this song about her called Black Mirror. And I wrote it about her obsession with wanting to like peel my skin off and wear it as a suit. And she was crazy and like very compulsive liar, lied about her whole life, everything. There's a lyric in it, and it says, wear your hospital bracelet, a trophy of your self-hatred, post it on the internet, and hope to feel alive again.
Okay.
Because that's what you would do. Like, those people that are like, oh my God, I'm at the hospital. Like, I'm so mentally ill. Like, help. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just people like that. And I thought that lyric was brilliant.
Yes. Yes. I gotta say, that is so, like, it's delicious is how I want to describe it. That is a delicious line. I gotta say, I think Cookie Mon Steve also loved it, because we just got 5 subs in response to that. So I think that's something that we love, a good juicy line like that.
Of course.
Is that inspiration? And honestly, that was not a long story. I feel like you and I have very different gauges of what counts as a long story.
Well, I could go on for hours about everything that happened.
You packaged that so perfectly, but I don't want to talk about them, right? They're out, no longer our focus at all. But here you are in this space. And you bring your own mental health into these stories at times. And you've been obviously very open here on stream, and how you talk about things on your social media. What has been your own mental health journey? Because it feels still rather new for our era to be like, mental health has resources. You should talk about it. Have some reflection. Give yourself room to grow. we kind of are on still the emergence of how do we talk about mental health in this space?
I agree. My mental health journey started when I was 16. I just started like getting like severely sick, like mentally. I lost 30 pounds in a very short amount of time. I couldn't go to school properly. I couldn't eat. I couldn't do anything. I just was not functioning. And I was like, okay, something's wrong. I need to go to the doctor. So I went to my like family doctor in Canada, and they prescribed me like all these benzos and like all this like medication that they shouldn't be giving to children. Not that I was a child, or like teenagers. And it was horrible. It was a really bad experience. I didn't get better. And then I went to college for social work, and I was learning about borderline personality disorder. And I was sitting beside my best friend, and I was like, something is going on there that sounds exactly like me.
Yeah, like keep reading this description for me.
Yeah, I was like, this is bizarre, because I had no idea about it, because a family doctor cannot diagnose or should be treating mental health. That's a no-no. They don't know what they're doing because they didn't go to school for it. So
it's a different area of focus.
It is. And so I went to my teacher and I said, hey, that sounds like me. Can you help me? And she hooked me up with her friend who was a psychologist. And we did like a 2-hour evaluation, and all of these, I was about 20 at the time, and it was crazy and overwhelming, but I got the diagnosis. And they confirmed everything. And then I started taking medication, and I started going to therapy, because that's really important to do that as, you know, a mentally ill person. And I've been doing that ever since. So it's been like a 12-year journey, and I still feel all the time like I'm failing this journey, just because who am I? Like, I don't know. It changes all the time. And like, I still struggle even on meds and going to therapy and getting all the support that I need. Like, BPD is such like an interesting and intricate diagnosis. But I feel like without my BPD and like going through all of these emotional experiences that I've been through, especially in relationships, I never would have been able to write some of the music that I've written. If that makes sense.
Yes. I mean, art is often inspired by the events in our life, and trauma, difficulty, challenges are sometimes the deepest wells that we can pull from at times.
Yep.
But that's also hard, right? To have to say, to create art that you love so much that you've had to go through such a thing. Like it shouldn't, ideally, you shouldn't have had to. And it breaks my heart to hear you describe yourself as still failing, which is such, like, I would never associate that word with you. And when I know about you and having this conversation with you, I would be like, no. Have you seen what she's doing? Do you hear how she talks about like who she is and the direction for it? Like, in my brain, I hear this, and as an outsider looking in, I'm like, she knows where she's going. She has that purpose. She has that objective and where she wants to be. That sounds like someone who has goals and futures worth living for. That sounds like someone who has had success, knows where they're doing the right steps, feels confident in it. And you still have that. You still have that description for yourself.
I really struggle. And I think it affects me more than I care to show the public, just because, like, you know, it's almost embarrassing to let people know, like, hey, I feel like a failure. You know, my Twitter shadow banned, my OnlyFans isn't doing as well as it was before. What's wrong with me? Or do people think I'm ugly? Or like, you know, my Instagram keeps getting deleted. Like, why can't I have what other girls have? Like, it's that constant like fight in my own brain that like my brain is telling me like, you're a failure and give up. Like, just give up. I want to give up all the time. I wake up every morning and I'm like, well, I'm going to give up. But it's like, you know, because there's so many roadblocks for me that I feel like a lot of people don't have to necessarily deal with in their career. If I had some office job doing whatever, it's not something I would ever think of. But also with my career comes in this body image stuff that I have to worry about now. And, you know, like being perfect, looking perfect. And, you know, at the end of the day, it's like, it's really hard not to turn your, or you can't turn your brain off and think about all the things that you wish you had. Like I still worry about my music failing all the time. And like I tell my husband where I'm like, if my music doesn't work out, I don't know if I want to be here anymore. Like it's like, because that in my brain is like my end goal. And if I don't achieve that, what was my life's purpose? Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people have that like existential crisis where they don't know what their purpose is. And, you know, on the outside, yeah, I'm like badass and, you know, I got my shit together, but do I? I don't know. So
I think that's, no, I appreciate your vulnerability on this because you're right. When we see things externally, there's a very different story than what we see internally. And it is, and it's this ongoing conversation where we have with ourselves of, is this what I do? Is this what I want to do? If I tell people this is where I want to be, what happens if I don't go there? What happens if I fail? Or what happens if I want to change my mind? Right. Mm-hmm. And I discover that I want to do something else. That's hard.
It's stressful. And you're set to such a high standard on the internet and with people having these expectations of you. And, you know, for me, I have to take like a lot of time off my job sometimes because I'm not doing well. Yeah. And that's difficult for people because they're like, oh, well, she just disappeared or she's ignoring me or and it's like, how do you tell someone I can't get out of bed for an entire week? Mm-hmm. I can't even think about getting out of bed. And it's an interesting experience, but I feel like, again, it's made me who I am, and that's not going to stop me from continuing on. Mm-hmm. It's just always going to be in the back of my head that I'm scared of it. I would be so embarrassed if I did all this work for my music and just flopped. I would be so, I would delete myself off the internet at that point.
Yeah.
Bye. Like,
I mean, obviously, if anybody else said that, right, and you'd be like, no, that, you know, failure looks like a lot of different ways. What are your real goals? How do we keep staying strong, right? Like, if anybody else said that to you, right, it's something where we go, that's not, you shouldn't say that to yourself. You're not giving yourself any grace. You're trying to control, and it's hard. Like, you can do everything right in this space. Like, you've worked hard, you've created great music, and then there's still other variables that you have no control over. Like, will this radio station play them? Will it, you know, will people share it enough on TikTok that it'll go viral? Is it whatever it is? Will this venue say yes to me? It's all these things that it's hard to say, like, I failed when you haven't done anything wrong. And I think that's also the hard part of that story.
Yeah, it is. But I think one day when I have my dream, I'll wake up and finally be at like some sort of like inner peace. And I think that's like the silver lining that I look forward to. You know, again, it comes back to being delusional. You just got to tell yourself every morning, I'm going to be a singer. I'm going to be famous. I'm going to kill it. And, you know, maybe one day that'll come true. So we'll see.
I hope you get inner peace before then. I think you deserve that. I love our lovely nerdy community. Family IT Dude says, reminding of our favorite Captain Picard quote, you can commit no mistakes and still lose. And that is not weakness. That is life, right? It's not failure.
Yeah.
And it's not, it feels unsatisfactory to go to like, but it was the journey along the way that matters, because it's like, yeah, I guess, but also it would have been like the journey was to get there, right? Like that's also part of it, to get to that mountain peak, to see that view, to be able to experience it. Like, yeah, it's really nice that I put all the effort to climb the mountain, and that was really nice of the sights we saw there, but it's not the same as getting the sight that you really wanted to see. And that puts a lot of pressure.
Mhm.
it has on you. But I mean, that's also the challenge of chasing dreams, isn't it? That's the risk that we put ourselves out
It
there.
is. It is. And I feel like everyone feels this way at some point. Um, I was reading an interview with Halsey recently,
Hmm.
and she kept going on and on about how she thought this was going to be her last record and that she was, not doing well. She put out a song. She did a Britney Spears cover, and it absolutely tanked. Like,
Oh.
tanked.
Hmm.
Like, I felt so bad, but it kind of like gave me a perspective that, okay, this is someone who in my eyes has everything I've ever dreamed of,
Yeah.
but still has the exact same feelings that I have. And it doesn't matter on what scale, because every person, whether they talk about it or not, struggles with that when you're dealing with kind of putting your career into the hands of other people. That's like another thing that messes me up, is that, if I had gone to school to be a social worker, I chose that job. I go to work every day. People pay me for my job, and then I leave. This job, and same with sex work, solely relies on the people around me and the people who want to support me. And if they ever go away, what do you do? It's the gamble that you take in any industry where you're somewhat self-employed.
Yes. It's more than just being good at your job.
Yep. I agree.
But that's where it comes back in of when you're in your profession, because we always like to say, like, you're more than your job. But when you're in a creative space like this, your job is also more than just this one thing. It's all weighed. It's all evaluated.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Or celebrities are critiqued if they try to push back or create, like Chapel Roan, for example, right?
Yep.
Saying
Yep.
she's pushed back a little bit, setting boundaries. And while plenty on the internet have been in support, there's also plenty of that have been upset, feeling the entitlement of, like, we're here to support you. We bought concert tickets, right? We should have access to you. And that's exhausting.
Yeah. I felt weird about the Chapel Roan thing, just to add that in.
Yeah.
I feel like it was kind of like a spoiled brat moment, where it's like, it's like, the way she approached it could have been a lot softer.
Okay.
And, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm not actually a fan of her. I have tried so hard.
It's okay. Not every music is for everyone, right?
Right. I've tried, though. I promise. I've tried, and I just don't like it. But when you're in that space and you've dreamt your whole life of being famous, people are going to want to take pictures with you, and they're going to want to be around you, and they're going to want to meet you and cry in your arms and do all that stuff. And it's like, I get having personal space, but also that's kind of the path that you chose when you decided, okay, I'm going to be a celebrity now. So that's where I kind of got that, like, I would die for that. I was like, I want people to stop me on the street and take a million pictures and fucking, and pull my hair out and, like, you know what I mean? Like, do all that crazy stuff. Like, I don't care. I'm just like, I would love that. And so it felt a little like, again, it felt a little entitled to just be like, well, I'm mad because people stopped me when I was trying to get a coffee. Like, that's my personal thought on that.
Fair. That's fair. My introverted self goes, oh, I want to go hide in a hole right now.
And that's okay, because some people are introverted, and some people, there's a lot of celebrities that have crippling anxiety and, can barely, like Bo Burnham. Like, he's talked many times, about how he would throw up before he would go on stage because he'd be so riddled with anxiety, he couldn't do it. And I would never have guessed that from him, because I love him. Yes. So I was, like, blown away that he struggled with that. And some people do, and again, some people just don't.
And that's that negotiation of, where do we see boundaries? What are we allowed to say? What are we allowed to do? And at the general idea of respecting individuals, whether it's asking to take a picture or what we choose to say on the internet to them, what comments do we leave? It's that opportunity that we have to see the other person as a human being, right?
Yeah. I think that's where people have problems with that.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's hard because you see them only, like, on the screen or far away.
Right. Yeah. I think it really struggles with sex work because they do have access to you, and the entitlement of my time and my energy is insane.
Mm-hmm.
Like, of course, like 90% of people are so chill and so supportive. And I love talking to them and messaging them every day and getting to know them. But there's some people that are just like, yeah, I'm like, you don't own me as a person. I don't even owe you a reply.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't. And I take all this time to reply to you and get to know you. And some people just, again, it just comes back to them not having any sense of boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like that when I meet people in person. I've had tons of people stop me on the street, especially in Toronto, and like try to like grab me inappropriately, or like they're just like, oh, I'll touch you because you do that on the internet. And I'm like, okay, no, I will bite your finger off. Like, totally bite your hand.
Yeah.
Like, don't ever touch me again. But, you know, there's boundaries, like, especially with men around me. If a woman was to approach me and like hug me or try to like kiss my cheek, I'd be like, okay, that's fine. But if a man did that, I'd be like,
there's a perceived trust in what we know and how we've been treated in the past that has to help inform our decisions, right? Like at the end of the day, when we've seen situations where those have been violated before, that's when we have to set up our boundaries. That's where we have to be protective of ourselves. And I think there's also a difference that you do see from your two audiences, right? When you're doing sex work, your audiences and fans there, you almost have to be much more strict with the boundaries because more is out there, versus when it's with music, right? There's a different viewpoint that they've had of you. There's a different reason why they're choosing to engage in you and coming up with, as you said, like coming to pull your hair, coming to take a picture with you. There's different motivation behind it.
100%. And I do think a lot of people who have met me like at my shows have been like extremely respectful and very grateful that I've like taken the time to come and talk to them or meet them or hug them, or, you know, even at conventions, you know, people are like, they're trying to take a picture with me and they're doing that like weird arm hover thing because they're so afraid of like, they're like trying
the hand floating on your back.
I'm like, no, you can touch me, but thank you for asking, or thank you for being respectful. Because as long as you're not touching me inappropriately, you can put your arm around me. But I've seen so many men that were just like horrified to touch me. So it's like the whole opposite. There's two ends of the spectrum.
Yes.
There's no boundaries and there's so many boundaries. So it really just depends on the person, I guess, that you're meeting.
It reminds me, this is an interesting thing with the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, right? Obviously, their looks are well known, right? It's one of the things, they have their calendars. When fans come to take pictures, they have to hold a football, right? Like it guides their hands and where they're supposed to be. You touch the football, you don't touch the cheerleader, right? Like it gives them guidance.
That's brilliant.
It is. And that way there's like, what am I supposed to do with the hands? You just, you touch the football. That's it.
Yeah, you don't touch the girl.
And it fits the theme of the picture anyway, right? Yeah. Cowboys Dallas, but it's a smart choice. And that way it creates clear and safe and comfortable boundaries for everyone involved.
Yes. That is so smart.
Yeah.
That is brilliant. I had no idea, but that is brilliant.
It's a smart thing, but these are tactics that have to come about because people cross boundaries, right? Like
yes, they do.
but forget all the boundary crossing, right? Like here you are in this space, you're creating music, you're getting and growing in fans. I want to know for you, what is that next step, right? You've got 2 amazing albums out. Where do you go now? Where are you taking us? Where are we going to follow you?
I want to continue playing shows, obviously, because it's been a long time since I've gotten to do that.
Coming back down to the US for us? I'm sure Canada's great, but
no, I live here now. I live in the US.
You're in the US. Oh, okay. That's right. You moved down to Pittsburgh. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So I want to continue doing that. I would really like to get signed by a record label. I don't have any thoughts on what label, but you know, as soon as like a label approaches me, I think I want to take that opportunity because it kind of takes the financial burden off of me and gives me an opportunity to like go on tour where I don't have to pay for everything or make crazy music videos that doesn't like come out of my pocket. So that definitely is something that I am dead set on. And, you know, I just want to keep fueling content online. My TikTok just got deleted. So there's 200,000 followers down the toilet, but now I have to start again with my music. And we'll try. I'm going to just keep trying because virality on TikTok is insane for musicians. So I want to keep pushing that. And, you know, hopefully my next step after that would be to go on tour. That's kind of like my main goal right now, is to have people come to my shows and meet me and enjoy my music and travel around and have fun. So we'll worry about all the bigger stuff later. When the time comes, you know, see me at the Grammys. No,
yes.
But you know, like that'll come in time. But right now, I really want to focus on going on tour and just enjoying myself as a musician while I'm young and have the opportunity.
Yes, embrace it. I love that. So that means we should all be listening, following to see when you post, like, here's opportunities that you've got coming up. Here's where we can catch you live. All of that is such a wonderful thing. So then that's the next follow-up question. Where can people find you? Where can they find you and your new accounts that you have? And if one goes down, make sure, good friends, that you're following now on multiple accounts just to keep updated.
My main platform that I use is Twitter.
Okay.
So Twitter is I Hate Leica. Interesting.
Yes. When I found it, I was like, really? Okay. I love it.
It's funny.
Honestly, it's kind of punkish. That's what I liked about it. I was like, yeah, that's a punk handle that we would have for ourselves, is I hate, and then insert your own name.
It was either that or Leica hates you. So that was the two options that I picked. But so there's that. My Instagram that I'm using for spicy content is Baby Laiku. So it's BabyLaiku. And my music Instagram is Leica Music, Musix.
Got it.
I just tried to give it something fancy at the end.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, listen, when you've had multiple accounts, you can choose a new one each different time. Have fun. Okay. Make it spicy. Well, I love it. I love that you're putting yourself out there, that you're following those delusions, because it reminds us that we all should be a little delusional. I think in this world, sometimes we're stuck on survival mode where we're just trying to be practical. And while practical is good for surviving, it is not very good for living.
Agreed.
I have loved having this conversation to learn more about how you are living, how you are bringing your delusions to life, your dreams to life, these pursuits. And I hope that you keep it up. This is inspiring. This is fun, to say the least. And so I really hope the best. I wish the best for you as you keep going on. Good friends, if you haven't, you can find like a ton of streaming sites, including Spotify. Easy to give a listen to. Got an amazing list of songs. All right, if you hop in Laika just on Spotify, Easy was the first thing that popped up for me. So many amazing songs. Just Peachy is an amazing album from beginning to end. The Sad Girl EP was also just tears for me. Wonderful. And then the Earl Grey album. You've got a lot of stuff to get into. It's perfect for those drive homes. I know some of you have long commutes. This is your new playlist that you need to get into. So good friends, make sure you give it a listen. Before we close this out, do you have any final words for us? Because you've been an amazing guest.
Thank you. My final words is sub to my OnlyFans so I can do music for the rest of my life.
Get it. That's right. Making money or making music is expensive. Support the artist.
Hell yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for coming on to PinkPixels. We love you here over at the Gamers, and good friends, for all of you tuning in. Come join us again next week. We'll see you all around. Bye, everyone.